I just wanted to quickly show how to replace the rotary hook assembly on your Consew 206 RB. Take off your cover plates as well as your feed dog. And you might find the need to replace the hook assembly if it's worn like this one. The basket is very loose inside of the hook here, so it just had some miles on it and now it's worn out, so that whole assembly needs to be replaced. Compare that to the new one where that bobbin basket spins freely inside the hook, but it's also nice and tight. There's hardly any slop or play, so that's what you want. And when we talk about the rotary hook, it's actually this tip here, and so if that is dulled enough or you can't resharpen it with a little emery cloth, that would be another good reason to replace the assembly. You'll need to get the bobbin case opener out of your way, so you can do that by loosening this 4mm fastener here, and that'll let you slide the whole opener out along with the fork that goes over that lobe. There's also a retaining finger here that keeps the bobbin basket from rotating, so you need to loosen this flat screw here to remove that finger. I always like to align the dot on the hand wheel with the dot on the machine just as a reference for reassembly. You'll need to loosen the two clamping screws on the feed dog linkage. And then remove this fastener to release the feed dog arm and give yourself some access to remove the hook. There are two screws that secure the hook assembly, one here and one just here. And you'll simply slide the hook assembly off the shaft to remove it. Now it's absolutely critical as you install your new hook that this screw aligns with the V-ditch in the shaft, and that's what will help you maintain your timing as you tighten that up. So you'll want to snug up this screw first and just slightly tighten it and let that hook find its position in that V-ditch. The only thing we'll have to do is just slide this left or right a bit to adjust for proper hook spacing. Basically, you want the tip of the hook to be as close as physically possible to the scarf of the needle without actually touching it. That's a pretty easy adjustment to make, but the actual rotary position, like the hands on a clock, will be unaffected by swapping this out. And assembly is just a reverse procedure. Tighten up the fasteners that you loosened or removed, and you should be in good shape. Now this will affect the height of your feed dogs, obviously, so just tighten it in with a best guess, and then once your feed dogs are back in, you can fine tune that so it just comes slightly above the bed of the machine at the top of the stroke. Looks like I got that bobbin case opener just a little bit too close and it won't allow it to spin past, so I'll rotate that out of my way, rock the position around so I can reinstall that retaining finger. Goes back in like that. Make sure that that articulates with the top of the bobbin basket to keep it from rotating, and you can snug that single screw. Then make sure to tighten that second screw on the rotary hook. That's not in a V-ditch, but it just makes sure that nothing shifts on you. Any fine adjustments to the bobbin case opener will just be to barely tap that bobbin case and allow room for the thread to pass through. That's its main job. And if you feel any resistance to rolling the hand wheel around, it's just that your feed dog linkage here and here is slightly out of adjustment. So we'll set that and fine tune it once we have the actual feed dogs back in place. And it seems too good to be true, but there it is. The hook timing has been perfectly maintained. So as long as you have that left to right spacing of your hook correct so that the hook comes as close as physically possible to the needle without touching it, you should be good to move on with reassembly. And we can see that that bobbin case finger is doing its job. It's not allowing the bobbin case to rotate as the hook rotates around, so that looks good. Otherwise, it's just a matter of reinstalling the feed dogs and the other parts you removed, and we'll do our final adjustments. And I like to install my semicircular top plate here before I snug up the feed dogs, just to make sure that there's Good alignment and no moving parts or rubbing. There's still some adjustment in the feed dogs there, so you can just center it in the opening and tighten up the 2 screws. Just 2 quick problems here. I've noticed that the needle is positioned too far to the rear of the opening in the feed dog, and also the feed dogs are coming up way too high, so we'll make an adjustment. That's something we loosened in order to replace the hook here, so we'll just correct those 2 issues and test out the machine. And to center the needle in the feed dog hole, just loosen these 2 screws. It's one of those things where you want to loosen them just enough so you can get a little bit of movement in the mechanism, but not so much that it has free play. And once you're convinced that that's in the center of the feed dog hole, go ahead and snug up the 2 screws. And then it's up to this screw. This is the one you want to loosen to set the feed dog height. Now I have special indicators for checking the height of things, but it really doesn't help me on the feed dogs because I can't get it in under the arm of the machine. Instead, what you want to do is just use strips of copy paper until you get the right thickness. Now the spec on the feed dog height is between 0.8 and 1 millimeter. I like it just in the middle of the range, so 10 strips of this notebook paper came out to 0.94 millimeters, so that should work just fine as a spacer. And I just like to tape those strips down to the bed of the machine so I can tip the head back and make those adjustments while I'm feeling that at the top of the stroke for the feed dog, that should just be flush with those strips of paper. And once that adjustment is within spec, go ahead and snug up that screw. But even that worn hook was contributing to making the machine a little noisier than I like, and now it just sounds like a well-oiled machine. So if you just take it step by step, it's really not too bad to replace the rotary hook assembly on your 206 RB. And the nice thing is it doesn't even affect your timing as long as you install that correctly.